when we were doing Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
Is this story time?
It is
Story time.
Story time.
It's story time with Mick. Story time with Mick. Story time with Mick. Story time with Mick. Story time with
we had this set called Freddy's Hell, and the way that we started building is we had a we had a room that was at one time a refrigeration room for probably pork sides or something like that. And all the equipment had been pulled out of it and stuff, and it was huge. And what we did is we put framework all the way around the outside of it and soundproofed the room. And then we had all these frames, and I wanted just this look of just crinkled, sort of sewer-ish look.
Right.
And what we did, the way that we did is we took really heavy industrial foil. I mean, it's 4 foot wide, kind of like the stuff that you'd make a can out of.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And rolls and rolls and rolls of it, and would put it down. And there was a technique that we developed that you would get behind it. And there was chicken wire in there too. So we put the chicken wire, and we put we had all these jacks standing up so that it had the structure, and then the chicken wire over it, and then what we had these people that we called moles.
Right.
And we hired a bunch of moles.
Right.
And what the moles did is they would string a piece of foil from the 25-foot ceiling, run it all the way down to the ground, push it up against the chicken wire, and then the moles would get on the back, and they would hook it with hook it with a zip tie, right?
Wow.
Like thing. Actually, they used these brown tacks that we had found that were kind of I guess the best description would be the world's largest binder flare. Right, you know those, like the brass thing with the head, and it goes out like that,
right? Yeah,
and it spreads, right? Okay,
it expands.
Yeah, and so so you could see if you walked into the room, we had hung all the stuff at once, and you would see as they worked around, and it took them 3 weeks to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You would see see the foil sucked up, right? And then
sounds like a fun job.
Yeah, and that's what you saw is you saw the moles working all the time, and you never saw the moles. All you saw is what the moles were doing. It was hilarious. I mean, you would go up to the platform on your lunch hour. And I would sit there with 3 tacos from the taco truck, 3 carnitas tacos from the taco truck. Sit up there, take my tacos, sit down, and just kind of like zone out, not tell anybody where I was.
You were there,
and just watch the moles. Things get pulled in like this.
Did they get pretty fast at it?
It always. That's the thing. That was what was so zen about it. There's only so fast that you could
probably
do
a
it.
certain rhythm too.
Yeah,
probably.
Dum, dum, dum. It was just like it was about that. Dum, 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 dum. And yeah, 3 weeks of that.
Wow.
It was very zen like.
Yes. So it was your meditation actually.
It was my meditation. I guarded my lunch times very jealously.
Right.
I had a friend who later towards the end of my career, and I was doing a lot of those reworks of commercials, right? And I would always either lock my office door, or I would go off into a corner, or I'd go sit in my car and I would sit down because I didn't want to talk to anybody.
See, I picture you finding since you probably built some of the sets, finding hiding places.
Yeah, I had a lot of hiding places on the sets. But the thing is this friend said, you're being antisocial when you're doing that. And I go, well, I said, I cannot describe to you how much it is I need that time not because
You never played basketball
literally,
with Shaq?
I was. No, I didn't. I did not.
Sorry, I always, off track.
I always was. The problem with being an art director or being a director or anything like that is that there are so many people that have so many cross questions.
Yes,
every department wants to talk to you. Every department, and there's not enough time in the day to actually lay all those questions on end. They overlap each other, so you wind up on the phone talking to somebody at your desk. You always wind up sitting in a desk in a room with two other people that are important, to answer questions to them as things go along. Is it isn't even a question of one question. It's a question of the constant babble that comes your way. Yeah. And so this friend of mine kept pulling me out into lunch, and so as time went on, he calls me about 2 years later, and I'd heard he had gone all the way from a PA, an art department, to PA. He had actually gotten on some incredibly cheap film or something. He got to be a art director for the first time, and he calls me up three years later. He calls me up and he goes, "Dude, I want to apologize." He goes, because I'm an art director on this show, and I'm looking for a closet right now, so that I don't have to talk to anybody, so that I can just eat this frickin' burrito. And I go, "Yep, there you go." I said, "You've now made it to the top."
I guess it goes with any kind of managing role.
I mean, there's.
I mean, I've even managed a restaurant where basically.
Oh, guy, I can imagine
all the
a restaurant
were bothering you.
Yeah, and the thing is lunch doesn't. You don't want to go in and laugh with the guys and all the rest of that. You might seem a little standoffish. It's just that you just can't deal with it. I mean, it's just. I mean, I would get to the point of, by the time I wanted to eat something, I just didn't want to hear anybody else's voice. I didn't want to hear the radio. I didn't want to hear anything.
Well, I've actually gone into a walk-in cooler to hide.
Yeah,
this is when I was in college. So.
I used to go. I used to grab a taco at a taco truck and go eat at the McDonald's around the corner, just because it was an anonymous kind
that
of.
Makes sense. Yeah.
It was like there was a drone going on, but it was white noise.
Right. Yeah.
And it wasn't specifically pointed at you. So it's a good way to escape.
Huh.
So are we done with this turkey?